week's episode of One Piece, Trafalgar Law returns from the dead and gets one final hit on the demonic Doflamingo. Unfortunately for him, Doflamingo does return like an evil phoenix rising from the ashes, and then finally decides to start going Haki to Haki, toe to toe, fist to fist, with Monkey D. Luffy. Even with all of the flashbacks and the slow pacing, I have to say that I'm enjoying One Piece a lot more than Naruto Shippuden right now. But that's a discussion for another day. This week's episode had some pretty frickin' epic moments in it, most of which came from Luffy and from Doflamingo. But the episode actually opened up with Trafalgar Law basically just letting Doflamingo know, look, I'm nothing like you, I've never been like you, and this is all for Corazon. He hits him with another big counter shock, and that's pretty much the end for him. But Doflamingo just gets up and proves yet again that he's a real cheap bastard, because apparently his strings can heal his body. That is bullcrap. I still don't think that's a really good thing. I didn't believe it in the manga version. I don't really believe it now. His powers are just so ridiculous. They can do just about anything. And as if that's not enough, he also is super powered with Haki. And without a doubt, I think the coolest scene from this episode for me personally was when Doflamingo was getting ready to stomp on Trafalgar Law and Luffy stopped him with his foot, and then they both kicked each other with their Haki-infused kicks. And it had this amazing electrical crackle of lights, which were red and black. The scene went on for a little while, but honestly, I just loved the impact behind it. It looked really flashy, and it's just the beginning of their amazing battle. By the end of the episode, Luffy and Doflamingo begin their battle, which is just really intense, just trading really big attacks. Doflamingo does this one amazing kick, but Luffy really steals the show when he does this big Eagle Bazooka technique, which just literally looks so fast you don't even see it move, and it just ends with this big explosion right into Doflamingo. It's definitely one of the better animated scenes from this week's episode, but aside from all of the action this week, I think the best thing about this episode was actually the flashbacks that we haven't seen before, which involved Treble and Doflamingo. You can see that it was Treble who sort of molded Doflamingo into what he is today. He's the one who actually provided him with his weapons, both a gun and a devil fruit, and it's sort of like what turned him into the real evil king that he is. Basically, he's the Darth Sidious to Doflamingo's Darth Vader. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of One Piece? A real simple episode that was paced in a really weird way, because really the big events were just like the big attacks from Trafalgar Law and Luffy, but those moments did look really cool, especially that initial kick where Luffy stopped Doflamingo. It was just so incredibly intense. The look of Doflamingo was also really great in this episode, how he was always cast in shadow, and how his glasses almost seemed to glow with like a demonic red light, really painting him as a real evil, angry villain. It was also really satisfying for Law to get like one more big attack on Doflamingo before he suddenly just decided to start healing himself. I thought it was cheap in the manga version. I think it's cheap now. Whatever. It's ridiculous. The String Man can do just about anything with his powers. Luffy did what he does best in this week's episode, which is get really pissed off and just use a lot of big flashy attacks. And in many ways, I don't want to spoil too much, the battle, again, really hasn't even started. There's still one more big event, I believe, before like Luffy and Doflamingo decide to have like their real final battle. It's one-on-one, no more interruptions. If you look at the preview for the next episode, it kind of gives away what that's going to be. Still, I can't wait to see how they're going to handle that as well, because we all know that Treble is still there on the battlefield. So I thought this was a pretty good episode, despite the fact that I think the pacing was really bad in this episode, but that seems to be the par for One Piece. That's just the way they do things in the series, and, you know, they're getting definitely close to the manga version of the series, and I'd really liked if they'd have taken this brand new One Piece special, which is the Foxy Nebulandia special, which the minute I watch that, I will release a review for that. I wish they would have cut that up and turned that, like, into the next arc, because as much as I don't want to see filler, we do need some filler in One Piece to sort of help the pacing out just a little bit. That being said, I still enjoyed this episode a lot. It had some amazing imagery and some really hard impacting moments. There were a few too many flashbacks for my liking. That being said, this is another one of those episodes that has some imagery in it which I'm always going to remember. So I'm going to give this episode right here a 4 out of 5. I think most viewers will probably think of it as a 3 out of 5, just an average episode. But like I said, the moments that were there I thought were really awesome. So check it out, One Piece fans. Whether you're reading the manga or watching the anime version, check out this week's episode. You might see something you like. If you did watch this week's episode of One Piece, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. Did you like this episode? Did you hate this episode? What did you think of Doflamingo being able to heal his body with his strings? Do you think that's just unfair? What do you want to see in the final battle between Luffy and Doflamingo and the rest of the One Piece anime series? Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this review. I really appreciate it. If you would like, please like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all of our latest anime and manga reviews. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!